Hello and Assalamu alaikum everyone. My name is Arsalan Farrukh and I teach math and physics. If you want to learn how to make stem and leaf diagrams, then you have come to the right place. If you're given a particular set of data and the requirement is to plot a stem and leaf diagram, the first thing that you need to do is to be able to identify a particular key by which you will be able to represent the entire data. So there's going to be stem and there are going to be leaves, and there is going to be a key for stem and leaf. So like you have data ranging from somewhere 20s to somewhere 40s. So you can identify that you can put a key of 3/0 means 30. And then after doing that, what you're going to do is that you're going to make a vertical line, and the left hand side of the vertical line is going to be stem and the right hand side of the vertical line are going to be leaves. The first stem is for the number 2. So you will put down all the data which are lying in 20s. So you can recognize that there's going to be one data which is leaves, that is 28, then you have a data which is 29, and then you have another data which is 29. So what you do is that you write stem once and then you write 8, 9 and 9 with spaces to represent the three numbers, which is 28, 29 and then 29. Similarly, the next stem is going to be 30s, so you write 30 for the stem and then you identify the datas which are in the range of 30s. So you can see there's a number 30, then you can identify there's a number 31, you can identify that there's a number 32. And if you will cross these numbers out, once you're putting them down in the data, it will make it easier for you to make sure that you don't go back to those numbers again. So to avoid mistakes from your raw data, you should always cross out the numbers that you put down in the stem and leaf diagram. So I put down all the numbers in 30s and I put all the numbers in 40s. And this is going to be the stem and leaf diagram for this particular data. The good thing about this representation of data is that the data which is represented by means of stem and leaf is already being organized. So you can see that it is already in an order. So first you have 28, then 29, then 29 and so on and so forth, which will make it easier for you to find out the median, the lower quartile and the upper quartile. Because the first thing that you must always do while finding out median, lower quartile and upper quartile is to arrange the data. And in this particular diagram, the data is already arranged. Next is that you find out the location for the lower quartile. The formula is total frequency plus 1 divided by 4. This comes out to be 4. So you see what data is at first, second, third, and fourth location. And that will be 30. So you can identify that lower quartile is 30. Similarly, for the upper quartile, it's 3/4 of the total frequency plus 1. When I apply that formula, I get my answer as 12. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So this is where you will find out the upper quartile as well. And similarly, if you want to find out the median, then that would be half of the total frequency plus 1, which is coming out to be 8 in this case, and you will identify the data that lies at the 8th location. Moving on with another example, you have another set of data. You can see that it's ranging from 20s to 80s. So you can set up a key somewhat like this. 4/1 means 41. And then you can start organizing your data. So if there's only one number in 20s, that's 24. So you write 4 in the stem of 2 to represent 24. Similarly, if you see there is 33, there is 34, keep crossing out the numbers from the original data so that you do not make a mistake of rewriting the number. So you have 33, 34, 38, and so on and so forth. Just like the previous one, you'll find out the positions of the lower quartile, upper quartile, and the median. And also do remember that when you're finding out the positions, if you have something which is closer to a number, then you round it off. Like if you have 5.25, then you'll round it off to 5. Or if you have 15.75, then you'll round it off to 16. But if you have a particular number for a position which is exactly halfway between two numbers, then you will look at the number at both the locations and find out their average. So in this case, the median will be the average of the number at 10th location and at the 11th location. So I will look out for the number at the 5th location, that will be 38, that will be lower quartile, and I'll look out for the number at the 16th location, that is 62, which will be the upper quartile, and then I would look out at the 10th and 11th position, I'm getting 46 and 47. So the median in this case is going to be the average of 46 and 47. That is going to be 46.5. So apart from the stem and leaf diagrams, you could also be asked to draw back-to-back stem and leaf plots. And this is something that you use to compare two different sets of data. So in the center, you make a common stem for both sets of data, and then you put leaves of one data on one side and leaves of the other data on the other side, so that you can have a side-by-side comparisons of the number. So you can see your numbers over here are also lying in the range of 10s, like 30s till 80s, and over here also it's between 30s and 80s. So I will make a key like this, which will mean that for this data, the stem and leaf combined would mean 50 for French, whereas for the data on the left, 5 and 2 combined in the opposite direction would be 52 for English. And then I'm going to put down the data for French on one side, so it's like 3 stem, and I'll see that which numbers are in 30s. If I identify the numbers in 30s, I can see there is one 31 over here and there's another 32 over here, so 31 and 32 for that. Similarly, I find out the number for 40s and 50s and so on and so forth. And I can also do the same thing for the English. So I will identify the data for English and I'll put them down with the corresponding stems. Now, one thing that I've already told you, that by representing data by means of stem and leaf diagram, you can easily find out the median, the lower quartile, and the upper quartile. There's also one more thing. When you arrange the data in this particular manner, you're able to compare the two sets of data as well. So I can see that there is a greater number of data for higher values of English as compared to the values of French, which is an indication of the fact that the marks obtained in English are higher as compared to the marks obtained in the subject of French. Let's have a look at another example. So you have data for the pulse rates of company directors, and it's given in like somewhere in the range from 40s to 100s. So you can again set up a key for after and before. So if you write 966, so that means that this is going to be 66 for before and 69 for after. So you describe the key, you set up the key, and then you write down all possible stems and their corresponding data on two sides of these stems for after and before. And this is how you will be able to arrange this data. You can find out your median, quartiles as well. And also you can sort of identify by the first glimpse of this particular diagram that the pulse rates after exercise are higher as compared to the pulse rates before exercise, because there's more data here in the higher segment as compared to the data over here. So for higher range, you have a greater set of data for after, and for before you have greater set of data for lower values. So that means that the pulse rates have increased after the exercise, which is pretty much of an obvious thing. So guys, I hope this video was helpful towards knowing how to plot the stem and leaf diagrams and how to use those stem and leaf diagrams to compare the two sets of data, and also to use those diagrams to determine median and the quartiles of the data. If this video did help, I would really appreciate if you'd give a thumbs up and also subscribe to my channel. Thank you.